Hey guys, Hone Houdini Ty here, helping you escape your 9 to 5. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about whether you deserve it. Now, it is not it's not within my powers to judge you, and it's really not in the powers of anybody to judge you per se. But let's go over it. Okay, so now, everybody wants to be rich. The question is, do you deserve to be rich? And now, I've once heard a quote from Jim Rohn who said that you get paid for the value you deliver in the marketplace. Okay, pretty simple. You deliver this value, you get paid for the value that you get. Now, sometimes people get upset that you don't necessarily work really hard for it, but it doesn't really matter how hard you work for it if you deliver that value. At least that's my thing. So I had a conversation today with a guy named Eddie, great HVAC guy. If you guys are looking for HVAC guy, talk to the Eddie guy. So he's an HVAC guy, and I asked him if he wanted to be a real estate investor. He said, absolutely. And I started telling him about the education program that we host. We host a meeting every Tuesday and Thursday. So I told him that what we do is we meet every single week, and we discuss different concepts in real estate investing so that they can learn. What's up, Ray? All right, homework time. All right. So now, I said to him, if I wanted to be an HVAC contractor, I would have to know a lot of stuff before I could get paid in HVAC, right? He's like, yeah. So I decided to write down all I know about HVAC. All right, so if you wanted to be an HVAC contractor, you would need to know the difference and how to operate a boiler, a furnace, a condenser, and a heat pump. You would also need to know the different fuels, gas, oil, steam, electric. You would need to know about radiators and diffusers. There's also flex, duct, and rigid, right? You also have the yellow gas line versus the black pipe. There are also the alternatives. You got the baseboard heaters, the split ductless units. You got the electric forced hot air. You also, with your thermostats, you have your digital and mechanical, as well as your Wi-Fi thermostat. So those are getting more trendy. Talk to my friend Lou Vega to make your house a super home where you can control all the aspects, including the heat from your phone. Okay? And then you also need to know how to size ducts and vents and equipment, right? So you got to know all of those things in order to get paid as an HVAC contractor, even though I know that all of these things exist, right? I know these all exist because I wrote them down. You shouldn't pay me to install the HVAC equipment, right? I could find somebody who can do it for you, but you shouldn't pay me if I'm grabbing a wrench and a screwdriver and a duct bender or whatever. Don't pay me to install that for you because I don't know enough. So then I don't deserve to get paid for doing HVAC work, right? So within that same kind of realm, for those who want to be a real estate investor, there's a lot of things you need to know in terms of real estate investing, right? What you got to know is the different financing or acquisition strategies, right? You can do the 20% down and then get bank financing. But what if you don't? What if you don't get that? What if you don't qualify for the bank financing? Well, then maybe you should know about seller financing, subject to lease options, contract for deeds. You should also know how to leverage credit cards, lines of credit, HELOCs, maybe even learn how to raise private money, use hard money. And I can go on, there's more. But you see how if you don't know these things to the degree that you need to know them in order to do them, then you don't deserve the property. It's not that you're a bad person. It's not that you've done wrong in the world. It's just that you don't know enough. So then you don't deserve to acquire the property, right? Also, when it comes to fixing up the property, maybe you don't know how to do it yourself, and maybe you don't have a contractor in your payroll or whatever to call up to finish that property. So then again, you don't deserve to be a real estate investor yet because you don't yet know enough. Just like you shouldn't pay me to install HVAC equipment, because even though I know all of this, I don't know enough to actually do it right, and so I shouldn't get paid for it. And if you don't know enough about real estate investing, you shouldn't get paid for it either, because ultimately you're not going to deliver the value. I've had a couple of conversations earlier this week with people who said that they want to buy properties that are $8,000, $10,000, $6,000. They always say it like this: I'm gonna get my tax return. This one go. I'm gonna get my tax return, and then I'm gonna use that tax return money, and I'm gonna buy a house at auction or share sale, right? And then I'm gonna do my first flip. I said, okay, well, what makes you think you can get a property for so cheap at the auction? Have you ever been to the auction? She said no. So really, right off the bat, she has no idea how the auctions work. It's just like little things people hear and they think they know enough. Just like how I might say like, oh, does your property have the yellow gas line or the black pipe? Like, what's the difference? And if I don't know that the yellow gas line needs to be grounded, then that's a bad day, right? If you go to the auction and then you don't realize that there's a 9 to 12 month right of redemption, and you lose the property back to the person, but you've already fixed it up, and it's a bad day for you. See, you don't deserve it because you didn't know these things. So you got to know these things, right? So they say, I want to buy a property for $8,000 or $10,000 or $12,000, right? And then I go, oh, well, what kind of condition is the property in that you buy for $8,000 to $10,000? It's probably going to need full rehab. And I say, do you know how much full rehab costs? They're like, no. And I say, it could cost $65,000 to $85,000 for full rehab. They're like, really? Yep. And so when you buy a property for $8,000, which neighborhood is it in? And they're like, oh, it's probably, not a great neighborhood. Right. And so then how much are the houses worth? It's called ARV, after repair value. What is the ARV for the property? And then they're like, I don't know. And I say, about $50,000. So now you bought a property for $8,000. You put in $65,000, right? You're almost all in. After closing costs, you're probably going to be all in for, say, $80,000. And yet the ARV of the property is $50,000. In order to profit, you're going to need to sell the house for $100,000. Yet all the properties are selling for $50,000. What value have you added? None. You can't even deliver a nicely done property for a discount. You actually have to charge double. So you've added no value to the marketplace. Sure, you fixed up a house, but you didn't do it in a way that makes sense for the neighborhood. You don't deserve the money. See? So in terms of deserve it factor, you have to add value to the world and to the marketplace. And how do you do that? By knowing more. That's why we have these weekly schools, right? These weekly meetings at the school to learn more. If I wanted to be an HVAC contractor, I would go to HVAC school and I would learn week in and week out, day in and day out, all of the different technical details that I need to know in order to be a qualified HVAC guy. So I don't understand why sometimes people think that they can just jump into my industry of real estate investing thinking they know everything already. Or they think that they can go to a 2-hour seminar and they have everything. Don't be so naive. If this industry can make a lot of money, you best believe you can also lose a lot of money. Why do you think you can hop in here and make a ton of money? Just because you want to? Just because you say so? Do you deserve it? And that's the question. Analyze that. The deserve it factor. If you don't know enough to add value to the marketplace, then you don't deserve to make a lot of money. But on the flip side, if you do add a lot of value, no matter how hard you work, even if you work very little and it's very easy, if you're delivering a lot of value, you will get paid for it, right? We don't work for the hour anymore. This is not that gig, right? I might do 5 hours worth of work, but I might get paid $50,000 to do so. It's $10,000 an hour, right? I'm no longer paid for the hour. I'm paid by the value. And if you want to be in this business, you too will get paid by the value. Nobody cares that you spent 1,000 hours fixing up the house. If the house is not of value, then you're not going to get paid. Pretty cool, right? So if you want bigger and better, come check us out. Come to our meeting. Come to our meeting every single week and learn so that you too can deserve to be rich. All right? Cool. So see you guys at the next video. Peace.